For the last 5 years, Ford and General Motors promised us that the future was all electric. They built massive factories, they killed off popular gas cars, and they bet the entire farm on batteries. But right now, inside the boardrooms in Detroit, there is absolute panic. We aren't talking about disappointing sales. We are talking about a financial bloodbath. Ford just posted a loss of over $5 billion on their EV division for the second year in a row. GM just took a massive $6 billion write-down in a single quarter. Factories are being paused, models are being canceled, and the CEOs are suddenly changing their tune. So what happened? Why did the legacy giants hit a brick wall? We are going to break down the 5 specific reasons why Detroit is burning billions, and why they might not be able to stop the bleeding. But first, we have to look at the math that is terrifying investors. Reason 1, the cash furnace, selling dollars for dimes. Right now, Ford's electric vehicle division, Model E, is that hobby. In late 2024 and throughout 2025, Ford was losing an average of $37,000 on every single electric vehicle they sold. Let that sink in. When you bought a Mustang Mach-E, Ford essentially handed you the keys and a check for $37,000 to take it off their hands. Why? Because Legacy Auto is addicted to complexity. They are trying to build EVs the same way they build gas cars, with thousands of suppliers, disparate parts, and inefficient assembly lines. Meanwhile, Tesla and the Chinese competitors are building cars like Lego sets, using gigacasting to stamp out entire chassis in one piece. Ford and GM thought they could just scale up to profitability. They thought, once we build 1 million cars, the costs will drop. But the costs didn't drop fast enough. Instead, the prices of the cars dropped because of the price war started by Tesla, so now they are stuck in a profit trap. They can't raise prices because no one will buy the cars, but they can't lower costs fast enough to make a profit. They are burning cash with every unit that rolls off the line. Before we get to the China threat that has Detroit shaking in its boots, hit subscribe. We follow the money so you understand exactly where the automotive industry is heading. Now let's look across the ocean. Reason 2, the China wall, the competition they can't beat. For decades, American automakers only had to worry about Japan and Germany. They knew how to fight Toyota and BMW, but they have no idea how to fight BYD. While GM was spending years developing the Ultium battery platform, Chinese automakers were vertically integrating everything. They owned the lithium mines, they owned the battery factories, they owned the chip manufacturers. The result? A company like BYD can build a high-quality electric car like the Seagull for under $12,000. Even with tariffs, their cost structure is so low that it makes American manufacturing look archaic. In 2025, GM had to take a $1.1 billion restructuring charge just for their operations in China. Why? Because nobody in China wants a Buick anymore when they can get a smarter, faster, cheaper EV from a domestic brand. This is the China wall. Detroit has lost the world's biggest car market, China, and now they are terrified that those same cars will eventually flood Europe and South America, cutting off their global revenue streams. They aren't just losing sales, they are losing relevance. We want to know what you think. Would you buy a Ford or Chevy EV, or do you think their prices are still too high? Let us know in the comments. We want to see what the real buyers are thinking. Now, let's talk about the biggest U-turn in automotive history. Reason 3, the hybrid panic pivot. Remember 2 years ago, GM CEO Mary Barra said they were skipping hybrids. She said, "We are going all in on EVs." Well, that plan is in the trash. In a humiliating reversal, GM announced in 2025 that they are rushing to bring plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, back to the North American market. Why? Because dealers revolted. Customers walked into showrooms and said, "I don't trust the charging network. Do you have a hybrid?" And the Chevy dealers had to say, "No, go across the street to Toyota." Ford is doing the same thing. They just canceled their massive 3-row electric SUV, a project that had already cost them nearly $2 billion in development. Instead, they are pivoting to hybrids. They realize that people love the Ford Maverick hybrid and the F-150 hybrid, and this is a massive admission of defeat. Shifting back to hybrids means maintaining 2 separate supply chains, one for engines and one for batteries. It is expensive, it is complicated, and it proves that their EV-only timeline was a fantasy. If you want to stay ahead of these market shifts, click subscribe. We analyze the industry moves that affect your wallet and your trade-in value. Now, let's look at the dealerships. Reason 4, the inventory nightmare. You can build the best car in the world, but if it sits on a dealer lot for 100 days, you're losing money. Throughout late 2024 and 2025, we saw something unprecedented: dealer inventory pileups. At one point, Ford Mustang Mach-Es were sitting on lots for over 100 days. The industry average is supposed to be 60. Why? Because the early adopters, the tech enthusiasts who wanted an EV at any cost, have already bought their cars. Now, Ford and GM have to sell to normie buyers. And normie buyers are brutal. They care about monthly payments. High interest rates crush demand, and because Ford and GM EVs were already expensive to build, they couldn't discount them enough to move the metal without blowing up their balance sheets. This created a toxic cycle. Dealers started refusing to take more EV allocations. They told corporate, "Stop sending us these cars, we can't sell them." When your own dealers turn against you, you don't just have a sales problem, you have a distribution crisis. Reason 5, the software crisis, the hidden killer. Finally, we have to talk about the one thing Detroit cannot seem to figure out: the code. Tesla isn't a car company, it's a software company that builds hardware. Ford and GM are hardware companies trying to hack together software. This came to a head with the Chevy Blazer EV. It was supposed to be GM's triumph. Instead, they had to issue a stop sale order just weeks after launch because the software was bricking the cars. Screens were going black, charging failed. This is catastrophic for a brand's reputation. The reason this happens is spaghetti code. Legacy cars use dozens of different computer modules from different suppliers: Bosch, Continental, Magna, and they try to make them talk to each other. Ford and GM are spending billions trying to hire software engineers to fix this, but you can't just throw money at culture. Until they solve the software, their cars will feel like outdated smartphones compared to the competition. Ford and GM are too big to fail, but they are not too big to shrink. They are currently panic braking. They are cutting production, delaying factories, and retreating to the safety of hybrids. They have lost billions trying to force a future they weren't ready for. The next 2 years will determine if they can actually transition, or if they will slowly become the Nokias of the automotive world. We are tracking the prices of these unsold EVs closely. If you want to know when the market finally bottoms out, hit subscribe right now. You do not want to miss our next market update. See you in the next one.